Good morning, everyone, on this Sunday morning, and welcome. Thank you for being here. And if you are watching the replay, welcome equally. Good morning. It's very nice on a Sunday morning to see you all. And today, the theme is invisible loyalties and how they can obstruct our life so we don't succeed. Just a second. Oh, there's someone with the mic on. I'll silence them. No. So, yes, so how these invisible loyalties can get on the way of success. Later on, we'll go into what is success, no? That can be a very loaded word. But for now, we are going to go into these invisible loyalties and know what they are. So, Hellinger, the father of family constellations, said that suffering is easier than taking action. Suffering is easier than taking action. That Hellinger's sentence is so on point and so good to take on your personal reflections. So it is true that the majority of people prefer to stay in their comfort zone than to truly make a change, no? And this is where invisible loyalties are birthed. So what are they? What are invisible loyalties? So all families have belief systems, yes, and create patterns that are more than psychological patterns. They are energetic patterns. So they are quite strong and they don't really need to be spoken about. The family, the clan already is embedded in this belief system. And you need to see something. For children, the most important thing in the world is their family. There's nothing else more important than that. So, and these belief systems, these family morphogenetic fields, so there's an invisible field where there are all those beliefs, where there are all those ways, those mandates, and the family is embedded in that, and the child, that is like an open book and a sponge, no? It starts feeding from the field. And the child, once upon a time, you were a child like me, you were so not in your mind and you were absorbing just the energetics of the field. So there's, in Hellinger's work, you see that there's two things that are so important for humans. One is belonging, the need to belong. And no one can deny that. We all need to belong and we all want to belong, even those people. So of course there are degrees, but that's a law. Everyone wants to belong and everyone belongs. Everyone belongs. And another one is that love needs to flow through the family. So the family is always trying to compensate. Not the family itself. Okay, let's have a meeting, let's compensate this. No, it doesn't work that way. There's an unconscious. The unconscious of the family is always going to have to compensate. So this is where the invisible loyalties start. We show to everyone that we belong, and we unconsciously make our way there. So what's the way to identify these invisible loyalties? Well, we observe that we have similar destinies. For example, 5 generations of people who are migrants, who migrate from place to place. Or, 1 second, yeah, I've got, or 3 generations ago, there was a tragic death, and that created a field where all the family has been sad and depressed for 2 generations, and then I come in. So I don't want to be the happy one. I cannot be the happy one. How am I going to be the happy one if all these people before me, they were sad, or they were depressed, or they were successful in business? How am I going to be an artist? Or how did my father lost all his money in a business? How am I going to be successful in business? Or, and this is the thing that many of my students are discovering, how 3 generations ago, for example, there was someone who committed adultery, and I didn't know, but I repeat, being the third person in marriages, or I always come back with my exes. I'm always with exes. That is also connected to infidelity. Or I repeat these same patterns. So it's fascinating. Guilt is another thing, especially for women, where guilt is transferred from generation to generation. Debt and lack of money can be something. Poverty. How is all my family going to be poor and I'm going to be rich? And you need to see something here. These are not things that we do consciously, because that's why you discover that suddenly you're repeating a pattern. It's things that we believe that are birthed out of survivalism. The unconscious wants to keep us safe and survive. And if my grandfather divorced and he was exiled, I'm going to stop my divorce. And that's why you create a lot of circumstances that you cannot divorce. And you say, what the hell is going on? It's an unconscious thing. Yeah? So I will always find the way to have this loyalty, and will replicate that which was given before. If my grandfather cheated, or my great-grandfather cheated on my grandmother or great-grandmother, and he was an adulterous, he committed adultery, that might have been even secret. You might not even know. How am I going to follow my desire and have another relationship? Yes? So these mandates, these beliefs are in the unconscious, and we, even if we try to do the opposite thing as our family, that's how suddenly 50 years later, 40 years later, in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, you find you're doing the same thing. And that's the way, that's what we call a fractal, okay? This is a fractal. This is in quantum language, it would be like this. And the more you practice this, the more it's like a video game. You realize these patterns, these ways, the field replicates. Why? Because that grandfather who cheated was exiled. And our family exiled adultery. then there's people who will come back in future generations cheating, being promiscuous, and so on, because they are bringing the energy of the exiled into the picture again. Why? Because everyone belongs. Why do I feel exiled if I've just divorced? And logically, I find it is totally fine because you are being loyal to the system. Why do this sickness go through from generation to generation? Diabetics, Crohn's disease, cancer, a specific type of cancer, prostate cancer. Yes, what happens there? Yes, there might be a genetic predisposition, but what is the belief? What is the mandate before? We know that, for example, with diabetes, you cannot enjoy life. Laughter and joy is not serious, is not following the standards of our family. We might be very serious people. So there are invisible mandates. These invisible mandates can be, for example, we are very good workers. We are very, very hard workers. And then you find yourself now working really, really like many hours, exhaust you, depress you, you have problems, but you have these invisible mandates. We are very good workers. We are very kind people. And anything that represents not being kind, oh, wow, you cannot do it. So you have issues defending yourself, setting boundaries, initiating, because that masculine energy is repressed because you are very kind. In my family, we are kind people. Another mandate. You marry someone, and that's that for life. And there's a mandate. The one love. In my family, all men, all women, no matter what, they are good family people. So they don't divorce. They don't separate. Yes? This is serious stuff because this is unconscious, though you and I could debate this, and it's no big deal that this is not true. In the on an unconscious level, you believe that if you make those moves, you are going to be exiled. And being exiled is a no for the unconscious. So everyone belongs. Everyone belongs. And if everyone belongs, if people have been exiled for any circumstance, then the system will bring it back and back and back until that energy gets welcome and gets healed and gets integrated. Some people in your family, there might have people who had a chronic illness or a mental illness, and that was hidden from society. Yes, that was very common. And now you get sick chronically, and you cannot get even better because unconsciously you feel shame. It's very common in the New Age movement, shaming illness. If you are sick, it's because you are not doing very well here or very well there. There's a shaming in society of illness. And we need to battle, yes, with illness. Because there's an incapacity in our world today to connect with life as it is. And we are not spiritual practitioners. Many people are not spiritual practitioners. They are trying to fix all the time life. And sometimes circumstances are as they are. That's why spiritual practice, this energetic practice, is not for children, it's for adults. And an adult has to be accountable. And being accountable means that you can shift these invisible loyalties. Yes, we can. There's a way out. First of all, there's three keys. First of all is becoming aware of the pattern. Becoming aware. This is why I started the session with this card. That is the card that came when I asked Spirit what was at the core of this session we are having together. Temperance. Temperance is not patience, because if not, it would say patience. Is something way more profound than just patience. Temperance is the opposite of what the system is right now. You cannot just shift a pattern that has been for 100 years in your family. We are in a time where we just press a button and we get whatever we want. And life doesn't work like that. Can you shift things? Yes, but we need temperance. Temperance and self-discipline. You need to become aware that it takes an inner choice, and we are going to be talking about choice, to change the pattern. And if the pattern is in my family, the women of my family save people, for example, we are saviors, it's very complex sometimes to stop being a savior and learning not to save people. In this context that I'm presenting to you, saving, because there's a lot of misunderstanding with saving. So how can be saving an invisible loyalty? Where I get in the place that doesn't belong to me. Say that I've got, that I meet a man, and in my lineage, they are all saviors, yes? And I immediately want to save him. Because maybe this man is attracted to me because he doesn't move forward in his life. He's not in his masculine moving forward, and I'm a savior. Then we get together and imagine the problems that we can have. I'm saving him, he's lovely, there's all this love attraction, but then we are in the patterns of this mother-child story. Why? Because I'm being loyal to my system, and he's probably loyal to his system where he hasn't taken the masculine force. Because the masculine take us to not wanting to be saved, because we don't need to be saved. We are not children, we are adults. And then I get so many people, new people that tell me, Sonia, I've been doing 20 years of therapy, and I'm still angry at my mom and my dad and whoever. 20 years of therapy, and I've met people, psychotherapists, still angry at their parents. That's why this work is so crucial. And repeating the same patterns, very dysfunctional relationships where you are, I don't know, in these third person relationships where you want to stop your relationship and live a new life, and you can't, where you castrate your children, for example, and don't let them live their lives. And it's exactly what your parents did, and then you're repeating that. So there's an infinite situations here. What I want you to understand is that this comes from the unconscious, that is survivalist, and that stops any form of success in relationship, in health, in money, in finances. And when that happens, you can truly sabotage your best possible destiny. Yeah, I know. And these invisible loyalties take us into a lot of trouble, a lot of trouble. Because imagine there might be the mandate of the eldest daughter or the youngest daughter takes care of the sick and the aging of the family. The person who is single or divorced or whatever, but has no family themselves, has to take care of the parents. The one with more money has to take care of everyone else. And then it's not that you do it. Maybe you don't do it, but you feel guilty for not doing it. And that makes you sick. Don't think that that's just nothing. That guilt can really take a toll on your health when it becomes chronic. So this is very, very serious and fascinating stuff. I find it fascinating because once you know how the loss of order and structure in families and how this operates, and like I say to my students, don't believe me, just practice it. You start seeing the dysfunction. You start seeing that you might be in the place of your mom's husband as your father. Or this thing, I am my father's best friend, my mom's best friend. No, you are not. You are her son or her daughter, or his son or her or but no best friends. That's a disorder. A disorder. Or if you are a woman that takes care of your parents, but you stop your success in life. That's a disorder. That's a disorder. Am I saying don't take care of your parents? No. But do it from the right place, because if you do it from the wrong place, you're stopping life. And society, see how interesting? They say, oh, what a good daughter, what a good son, what a great person. Because we have given these prizes to these saviors and to these givers, and some people give what they don't have. So many therapists give what they don't have. They give a wisdom that they don't have. They give so much and they don't have it themselves. And that's the source of a lot of burnt out and a lot of dissatisfaction and a lot of dysfunctional relationships between therapists and clients, between dysfunction in relationships and dysfunctions between siblings, because siblings is important. The eldest is not the youngest. There's a hierarchy. And everyone belongs in the right place. In the right place. When you are in your place, then you can look at life and say, hello, life. Yes, I see you. But if you are all the time looking into the past, looking into your parents and what they did to you, looking into all these things, you cannot say hello, life. And where is the success then? And in the complaint and in the victimhood, it's impossible to succeed. Impossible to fulfill a destiny where you feel in plenitude, where you feel big in your life, where you can be in service of life. Because we are in service of life. Your clients, your children, you are in service of them. But if you are you are recreating these invisible loyalties, then you are damaging your life. Then you are not in life. You are not in life. And that is a very dangerous place to be. There's the law of free will. But it's very important. And I wish that I had known this many years later. But I surrender as a good systemic professional. I understand. I wouldn't be here talking to you. So it was all necessary. The adult surrenders to reality. Surrenders to reality as it is. You don't waste time. If I had done this, if I had done that, and no, you don't waste any time on it. It takes training. It takes training. But you understand that it was all necessary, because if not, you are just having this sense that your life is not worth it. Years go by and you're just trying to be better. No, it doesn't work that way. It's way easier. We just are confused. But this is Saturnian energy. That's why Saturn is very good in the astrology now. Very good. Because Saturn is destroying all the confusion. And it's giving us an opportunity. This is why I'm offering this work now. Because once we know it, there's no returning point to not knowing. And this takes me to this very, very important thing. That I was going to talk about it today. It was decided. And yesterday I went with a multimillionaire's conference, and he was talking about the same. And I bring that because see how important it is in business, in personal life, is to make decisions. Really, really. Make decisions. And most people don't know how to make decisions. And sometimes people take too long making decisions. I've been one of them, because sometimes your astrology and your life can make you very, very in that lethargy of not making decisions. That is a disorder. It really shows us that we are not well integrated with the father principle. We haven't taken the father energy. We haven't taken the masculine energy. Indecision, when it becomes something chronic, it's something that can really have a strong toll in your life. And is connected to lack of success. When you make decisions, that is the biggest power a human being has, the power of choice. You make a choice, there's no right or wrong choice. The choice might present its challenges, but you are connected to the choice. That's being connected to the masculine. So if you see the invisible loyalties, the choice is, I'll stop it. That's why we are here. That's why I'm giving you this knowledge. Can you stop it? Yes, I see the pattern. You need to decide to stop it. Whatever comes after, your anger, your this, your that, we deal with it. But the point is, I stop this. You need to make a choice. And then people get lost in, no, by my resistance, by this, by that. No, make a choice. Learn to make choices. I make this choice and I stay with it. And yes, it's difficult and complicated and this and that. Yes, but you stay with it. I brought another card. See how interesting, because I was going to talk about this. What's this? Distraction. Distraction, overthinking, overdoing, over scrolling, over doing anything but going into what is important here. That is acknowledging my processing it. And this is where humanity is. And this is where we might get lost so much in the details. We might get so lost in the busyness and the noise, the huge noise of life, that I lost track of my decision. I make an internal decision like, I'm in debt. I'm coming out of debt. Because I'm working with Sole, and I've discovered, that I have an invisible loyalty with having issues with money or with having issues with relationships. So I see my distraction and I get on it because I understand discipline. I understand silence. Can you see? And then I ask myself, okay, I've got this pattern. What would happen if I do it in another way? What would happen if I come from a family that condemn others, for example, because we are very good people and, those bad guys, adultery, or those warmongering people, anything, politics, anything that puts you in a pedestal where you are better than the other. Because this is not about right or wrong. This is beyond that. What would happen if I stop my finger? Or what would happen if I stopped being dissociated and not showing up in my life and I showed up? What would happen if I acknowledge my desire? What would happen if I come from a family that don't speak about emotions and I started speaking? That's an invisible loyalty. Transgenerational trauma can be also connected to not talking about anything. And then some people come and, no, it's all fine. No, my family all fine. No. And then we dig and we dig and we dig and we find, it's not that you are digging for problems, but if you have an issue with something in your life, you haven't done transgenerational work, you always find that maybe the way of dealing with problems in your family was to just be quiet, was to just, we toughen up and we move forward. And then there's people totally sick at the age of, in their 50s. Everyone is sick at their 50s. Nobody's fit ever. Nobody does exercise in a family, for example. That is an invisible loyalty. Careful. You are the first one who is going to do exercise, who is going to do training in martial arts, who is going to be a spiritual practitioner. So many times people sabotage it because there's an invisible loyalty to my system. How am I going to be fit and healthy? Really? And my family isn't. It's as crazy as that. Because we are connected to the system. And I know people that might travel to the other side of the planet, getting away from their families and still follows them. So there's this temperance that connects with that. Oof, I love her mood. What you do with hands gestures, like contained. There's a poison to this. You are not fixing your family. You are not fixing yourself. You are becoming aware because you connect with your best possible destiny. But we've been given free will. Believe it or not. And we can do with that whatever we want. That's why I just want to acknowledge this power of choice. This power of choice that might stop us from being successful human beings. Your success might be different from mine. Yours might be, I don't know, being the best cook and having joy with your children as you cook. But you might not allow that because you think you might need to earn a lot of money. But your success might be just sitting with your children and enjoy the meal. And that's that. Or someone else's mind would be to earn a lot of money. And that's my best possible destiny. Because we all have different destinies. The New Age movement wants to give you that everyone has to be in a certain way. No. When you create groups, you see that there's someone who thinks very sharply, the other one brings laughter, the other one sleeps a lot. And that sleeping, I promise you, in Feng Shui is seen as people that, create good vibrations in a place. So that's Aquarius energy. The age of Aquarius, the this, the that, everyone is very happy. But we've become like this IKEA furniture shop where you enter 20 houses and the 20 houses with the same furniture, and we want to be the same. No. Some people are more fire, some people are more air, some people are more of that. But if I'm just in my invisible loyalties with my clan, I cannot be myself. Forget about it. You're not going to get it. So what happens? These archetypes, the black sheep, the rebel, the good girl, the saboteur, all of these we incarnate and we become slaves of those archetypes. I'm a good girl. I'm a rebel. I'm this. And we are all the time in that child archetype, sabotaging ourselves and not really looking at life and opening the pathways to that which could come our life. A new love, a new project, a new business, new sources of income, many, many things, because we are so, people say in our ego, those that study with me know that I don't, because ego is such a loaded word, but it's the ego. Yes, I'm so much in my ego that I don't move from this place. Because in my family, we are this, in my family, we are that, in my family, we are this. And even if you do the rebel thing, you're still doing it. Fascinating. Fascinating. I was in the rebel, no? So when I started studying this, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to hear anything about this. Because I really thought that, you're free to just move and decide and do whatever you want. And that's why I'm really good at teaching this, because I had to come back and say, okay, I'm going to listen because something is not working for me. And it was the huge disorder that I had, because I had taken places that were not mine. I had opinions about my parents' marriage. It was their marriage. It wasn't my place. So if you have opinions about your parents and you were in between them, that's not the place of the child. If you had to be the man of the house, the woman, the big sister, the big whatever, and you had to take care of everyone, disorder. That's not your place. If you are demanding your parents to give you explanations for what they did to you, disorder. Disorder. And because I'm good at my work, I've done all of that. Every single thing. I cannot believe it. That's why I know the score. That's why I teach from a place. The authority that you see in me is because I do the work. I understand it. I know all the dead end streets. I know it's difficult sometimes. This work is not very easy because it needs this. Because what you are doing is rewiring your mindset. Because if your reptilian brain says, if I have more money, I don't belong to my family because my family, we are poor and proud. So many people that sabotage their projects. No, for real. So many people that had 20 million projects, they never do them. They never make decisions. So many people that have so many dreams, they never materialize into anything. And many, many times, most of the times, you look at the invisible loyalties and you know it's there. Always. Because in this discovery, you find that maybe you want to do a project that gives you a lot of money and a lot of this, but you discover you are being loyal to your clan, and what you really want to do is an acting course. Or you are doing an acting course, and what you really should be doing is a business course. So I have no agenda on what's right or what's wrong. You need to discover that. Or you are totally fixed on a partner and the relationship is finished. Or you want to divorce your partner and the relationship is not finished. It just needs people who talk. I don't know. That's you, the only person that knows. You is the only person. But not from the thinking mind. You have to go to the unconscious. And the thinking mind, you've read all the books, you've done all the workshops, you've done, many of you, X number of years of therapy, and nothing really worked. I know. I know I have students here who've been doing work with me for a while and some other interesting work, and suddenly you come into this understanding. You come, I get a lot of like, oh my God, now I see this. Not because I tell you, just because you do the practices that show you. That show you. Another one very interesting. Families that get wired in anger or in sadness, in dysfunction. And you are really trying to be level-headed and to make good decisions. But your invisible loyalty to the dysfunction of the family. How am I going to be different? How am I going to suddenly, resolve things in a different way that is not screaming or that is not silencing myself? Can you see? That's what we do. So all these conversations in social media, in YouTubers, in stories where people are just talking if this one is narcissist and me, and I have an attachment disorder and whatever. Okay, you have a language, you name certain things, and now what? Because I know people who are even therapists having that language who haven't done their work. And the thing is that they just ally with their clients, and it's a mess. Because, okay. It's more interesting to see that narcissist that goes from woman to woman is maybe looking for his mother. and you are looking for that, maybe. And you have a project with the nurse, with that one that is looking his mother. You look for that and you have a project, and that doesn't work. That's more interesting because that gives you back the power. That is the whole point. That gives you the power. Now, there's nothing here that you need to be saved. Nothing. There are aspects of you that are hooked in an invisible loyalty from a child that needs to belong. The adult can't make choices. The adult is accountable. The adult is connected to reality. The adult is positive in a way that comes from optimism. No, this positivity, everything is fine. There's a optimism. Yeah. Being optimistic is not, oh, everything is fine. No. Being optimistic is, wow, I made this mistake. I see it, and now I know better. Now I can move here and there. The pessimistic is, oh my God, I did this mistake, and look, it was someone's fault, and this is because when I was little, my mom told me this, and look at that, and the optimistic person is an adult person. Many of us have been trained to be pessimistic, but needs a rewiring of the brain, and it's not easy. Just 1 second. My dog is a guardian, and she had to tell some people off, and she wouldn't stop. So that is interesting. I'm touching a lot of things, and this, if you need to listen to it later, please do. But it's really touching on the power that we don't know we have. Incredible power. That we co-create our reality? Yes. That sometimes reality is very complicated? Yes. But we need to make it simple. And understanding these ways make it very simple. We need to simplify. But if you are here, this is not simple. This is too many balls. Too many balls. Too much distracted. The other card that I got, I loved it, love the cards, is this one. So my personal flavor in this work is that I work with a spirit. Some people know, some people are these are the hierarchies and whatever and blah, blah, blah. I connect with the invisible world. I love this thing that is not the AI for me, is the ancestral intelligence. Yes, ancestral intelligence, AI. Our AI is ancestral intelligence. There's nothing in the world that connects us more to reality and that protect us more than the ancestors. Yeah. This is a year to work with ancestors. With a year, I mean until at least June next year. It's a very good time to work with ancestors because of Jupiter, Cancer, and other bits that I will tell you more in the courses. So I would love, because there's many of my students here, and I love if someone would come in and share with others their own experience of this. Because if I do all the talking, then it's interesting that some people who have been working can share some an insight, no their own experience necessarily, but how this work has helped them. So, Marie, would you say something? While Marie finds the unmute button, you just click on it. I'll introduce Marie. Marie is a great homeopath and health practitioner, and she is my therapist as well. And we've been doing work for a while and having conversations for a few years. And I would love her to share if you can unmute. Is it a phone? Yes, Anne-Marie? So if you click on the screen, now you're unmuted.
Sorry about that.
So Anne-Marie, I know I've caught you by surprise, but how do you think this way of seeing the family systems can help? If you want to share something, please feel very welcome.
God, in lots of ways, it's such deep work. I think we've been doing a few months now, haven't we? And especially the workshop we did what was it, a month ago now, over a month ago? God, it just really gave me a huge, broader aspect of my family and the issues, and lots of compassion for me. I think there was lots of blame in my system, especially around my parents and their relationship, and being able to step back from that and have a perspective that I didn't have before was just hugely healing. Really, really great.
Yeah, I think that point is very interesting. Is the shifting the angle and suddenly seeing things with your own eyes that you couldn't see, no?
Yeah, letting go of blame, letting go of excuses, seeing people in a much more compassionate, human way, really. You know, there's so many identities that we put onto the system. It's hugely challenging now at this point, but it's amazingly powerful. The letting go of the identities bit.
Yeah.
So I've done lots of work on identifying the patterns, I guess, identifying the unconscious loyalties. And now it's really dropping into untangling those.
Doing it differently, yeah?
Yeah, doing it differently. Taking responsibility is huge.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's just so deep. It's just really, really great. And yeah, it's forever learning with this. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you seeing anything in your clients? Now that you have the wisdom, you are getting the wisdom?
Yeah, I guess I'm very much, I feel I really need to embed this more in me before I bring this.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really sitting with it at the moment.
Learning it exactly so it becomes part of you.
Absolutely. Again, I have to work with huge integrity, so I need to really,
With
really,
this. Yes.
yeah, absolutely. So
thank you so
yeah,
much.
I can really, I'm identifying it more and more, I guess. It's becoming a lot more obvious to me. So I'm seeing the patterns in the conversations,
Yes.
if that makes sense. So
Makes
yeah.
total sense. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, so lovely to see you and everyone.
Likewise. See you very soon. See you on Thursday.
Yeah.
And hello, Sarah.
Oh, thank you, Soleil. Gosh, yes. These unconscious loyalties have woken up a lot of pattern knowledge and awareness to choose a much more peaceful, compassionate way. You know, I had got very tangled in my parents' loss of a child and feeling that like I needed to somehow get needing to know why and understand, and I didn't need that.
Exactly.
And
This work is very liberating because for that as well. Thank you for bringing that, Sarah. That we don't need to know the whys all the time and digging. That sometimes it's just what it is, and it's very liberating, don't you think?
very liberating. But the biggest one that came once somehow I needed to put my older sister in her place, and then my brother, then me, then my younger brother. And when I did that, then I could see the unconscious loyalty around the exiled masculine in my dad, because I blamed him for the fact that they lost all their money and everything. And I had this real unconscious, totally unconscious, huge pattern with he didn't make the money, he was to blame. Money was the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And when that happens, because our father energy, whoever, however he was as a person, that doesn't matter because the father brings the energy of moving forward, the energy with money, of connecting with the spirit of money and make money becoming stable. And then you could see that, didn't you?
Oh my gosh, my house is sold. I've got an offer on my house. I've been trying to sell it for 15 years.
Exactly. Thank you. I thank you exactly. This is how it works, really, guys. I couldn't have a better testimonial than this. I promise you, it's like when you see these things, shit moves, really. And then money came, the house who was, you were very worried. Oh, what a gift for this morning for me to know that that's happened. Very good, Sarah.
Yeah, and
Congratulations.
it came on the new moon.
Yeah.
But it was because you said to me you're masculine, about the masculine. And on at 11 o'clock on the 11th of the 11th, I spotted the pattern with the masculine and money. And then all this happened. So I am forever grateful.
Oh,
Huge grateful.
thank you so much. Exactly, guys. No, it's so helpful, everything that you're saying. Exactly. And she's made a point. I can prompt you in a direction, but like Sarah said, I spotted the pattern. It needs to come from you. It's your work, and that gives you power. You don't want any therapist, any mentor, any teacher to take away that. It's always you who have to do it. So congratulations, Sarah. Thank you so much. And Jen, would you like to go?
Hello. Hi everyone. So nice to see you. Um, my experience so far is that especially with the workshop that we did, just that lifting of the veil, just that um seeing things now, things can't be unseen. Um, but I'm still working with how do I put it? It's not that I need to understand, but I'm still trying to get clear. It still is, there's so many layers, um, and so many in-ground behaviors, I guess, that I've been working with, that it's just that we need to be gentle with ourselves doing this work. And I'm finding that hard a little bit.
Well, you have to be gentle because we need to be gentle with ourselves. That's the whole point. Humanity
Yeah.
need to learn to be gentle because that's the thing. We need to learn gentleness. Yes. And this is what many of you discover that you are not so gentle.
Yeah. That is a lesson in itself.
Exactly. Exactly. It's that beauty of being gentle. And because that comes from the mother, okay? The more we integrate the mother energy, the more we have that gentleness and sweetness and openness to pleasure and to life, yeah?
Yeah, 100%. And it's uh, um just that awareness that we have that gentle choice. And yeah, even that's so much for me to sit with. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Jen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're gonna finish with Sam. Sam, is that okay?
Hi everyone. Morning. I think the thing that I'm in at the moment is identifying the patterns, and one thing that I found through working with the session with you, Soleb, is that I'd sort of come from a household where emotion didn't really get spoken about. And then I left my household, went and did my own thing, then had my family, and I've found that like in a sort of an egregore loop, I've sort of put myself back into a family sort of situation where emotions don't get talked about and get avoided, and that's, I suppose, my invisible loyalty.
Absolutely. Is that sometimes, but it's always looking with the kind eyes and love at the system. Sometimes the system, out of survival, decide not to speak about things. And then generations that people don't talk about what's going on. And it's a very important part, because always people think that this work is for people who scream or who have very kind of intense dynamics and stuff. But one can be, we don't speak and everything is fine. So thank you for bringing that aspect, Sam. It's very useful for others, no, because it might be in their field. Thank you so much. And yes, so that's some of our community, our spiritual family. And I'm doing discovery calls because a new course is starting on the 1st of December. So if you wanna join us, I will put the link, and then you just join us and I tell you more in a call with me. And I just wanted to thank everyone. Just bear with me a second. Yes, I wanted to thank everyone that is here for your sharings, for making the effort, and the journey continues. I wish you a very nice morning, and I hope you got something from today. So I invite you to unmute yourself so we can say goodbye. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
see you very soon. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye bye. Ciao.